What's on display? Tell me, what do you see when you look at me? This is a question I ask people from time to time. As I go through one season or situation, and I'm blessed to come out the other side, I understand that things may be different, that trials and tribulations bring about lessons, and these lessons stimulate change. Sometimes you can tell a lot about a person based on the smile they wear or the scowl they share. Sometimes we look like we've been through some things, or the times we don't. My question to you is, what do you have on display? What I mean is, the person you present to the world speaks for the person you hide from it. Mostly unconscious, our disposition from day to day acts as a reminder not only to others, but also to ourselves that life can be heavy and life can sometimes be hard. However, if you learn to adjust your disposition and wear an optimistic or positive demeanor as opposed to a negative or defeated demeanor, then you are consciously making a choice to survive whatever storm you may be going through. So I ask you again, what do you have on display? They say that which is done in the dark will be brought into the light, meaning the things we say and do when we think no one is watching will be seen and heard at one point or another. I know that life is unpredictable, and sometimes we find ourselves in pretty difficult situations, but be careful of what you do, as that can contribute to your display. Let's call it your action feature, which basically means the thing you do. We need to be mindful of the fact that our words hold weight as well. So how do you label yourself? What is your tagline? This is what do you have to say about your own display. And finally, take heed as to what you get wrapped up in. This is your packaging, the vehicle by which your display is presented. Action feature. I'm sure a lot of us can attest to the difficulty of life. One thing after another, life delivers situations and setbacks. And as humans, we are built to respond with our various emotions. However, our responses sometimes turn into retaliation, by which we use the pain and suffering as a weapon against the world. It's in moments like these that your actions define you. We all go through storms, but we all don't come out as composed as others. Some know how to navigate the subtle nuances of growth and let the rain from the storm water your garden. Others, however, not so much. For one reason or another, some of us do not possess the ability to grow through what we go through. Instead, we are soaked by the amorphous confusion, which leaves us flooded with pain and suffering. This leads our actions a lot of the time being less than favorable. In these dark and painful moments, we choose to wear our strife on our sleeves instead of removing it and letting God provide you with a new set of threads. In the Bible, there's a story of a boy named Joseph who would go through a storm that would see him betrayed, enslaved, employed, and elevated. A wild combination, yeah, I know. You see, Joseph had a coat given to him by his dad. This coat was very vibrant and colorful. By today's standards, you could say pretty expensive. Well, his own brothers grew jealous of him, and they threw him into a pit where they sold him into slavery. A prisoner he would remain until one day he was given an opportunity. You see, the Pharaoh was having some troubling dreams that he couldn't make sense of. Well, God blessed Joseph with the gift to interpret, and he saw fit to bestow this opportunity for Joseph to use his gift. After he correctly interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams, this would lead him to eventually becoming the second in charge of Egypt, where he would go on to help them prosper through a famine. Here's where Joseph would show his action feature. During the famine, Joseph would notice his brothers in line for food. Now, most people would rebuke, revoke, or even retaliate. Joseph, in that moment, recognized that he was no longer wearing those tattered garments of the past, for he let go and let God bring him to a new place where newer and more priceless garments. Joseph had grown through that which he had to go through, and in that moment, he chose to reconcile, restock, and rebuild that which was broken. So basically, I just want to encourage you The next time you go through something, before you become a victim of circumstances, I want you to try removing the heavy tattered garments and let God take you to a place where you can get new garments. Tagline: there is power in the tongue, power to make or break a situation. What we say about ourselves is just as important as what we say about others. We should strive to speak positivity and life onto ourselves as much as possible. I cannot stress this enough. Avoid self-deprecation. Do not cut your own legs out from underneath you. Do not sully your own name. And do not depower, demoralize, or demean yourself. Whether loud or quiet, your voice is important, and your voice can make a difference. As life does its thing, we all find ourselves voicing our feelings at some point. In these moments, do your best to keep it positive and keep it productive. If you are going through a hard time at work, speak positive. If you are going through a hard time at school, speak positive. If you are going through a hard time at home, speak positive. Know that trouble doesn't last forever, and your come up starts with you speaking it into existence. There was once a city called Jericho, with big, thick walls around it. Well, a man named Joshua led a group of people called Israelites to said city. From what the eyes could see, there was no way they were going to get past those big walls. Well, Joshua had them march around the wall, blowing trumpets for multiple days straight. On the final day, Joshua instructed the people to shout. Their voices made the wall come crashing down. Basically, what I am trying to say is that when all hope seems lost, your voice can change the tide of battle. Remember the power you possess and be careful how you use it. Packaging. They say presentation is the key, and a first impression is the most important thing. Understand that the things we get caught up in become our packaging. This is what the rest of the world sees, no matter what you say or do. I'm no one who can judge, neither is it my place to. However, I am here to educate. As life takes you on a roller coaster and you are left feeling less than, I want to encourage you to pray before you act. You see, in desperate times, we as people turn to all manner of things to cope with whatever lack we may be feeling. Things that either make us feel better for a time, or things that bring us to a place where we don't feel alone. Unfortunately, the world is a shallow place, filled with individuals who will label you before they get to know you, simply because of your packaging. If you remotely have signs of being human, then that can sometimes work against you. This is why it is important to do our best to watch what you get wrapped up in the midst of adversity. Man strives to be like God, or at least they should. However, they are not God. Therefore, they cannot write you off completely just because you may have gotten wrapped up in the wrong thing. The beauty of this is that if you are blessed to make it out from under whatever has you wrapped, then you now have the opportunity to help someone avoid that fate. Give back by showing that you learned the necessary lessons and that you understand the severity of the situation and want to help someone else either navigate through it or avoid it altogether. Much like Paul from the Bible, who started out as the villainous Saul, who was notorious and evil. However, after a run-in with Jesus, Saul's packaging changed forever. He would go on to become Paul, who quite possibly was one of the most influential people in the Bible. So basically, be encouraged, guys, and know that your packaging tells a story, and your story could mean the survival of someone else. So in closing, when the world takes a look at you, can they see your suffering? When the world looks at you, can they see your pain? Or, when the world looks at you, do they see your strength on display? Keep in mind your action feature, for these are the things you do. Be careful with your tagline, for your words can change minds. Be aware of your packaging, as this is the bulk of what others see when they look at you. Remember, it is okay not to be okay, but a smile brings light more than just your way. I ask you one final time to ponder, what do you have on display? As always, go forward and be blessed. You got this.